Hello and welcome to the Elite Ubot Plugin demo. Before we begin, I just want to tell you a bit about the plugin. I created this plugin to greatly extend the capabilities of Ubot Studio. The goal is for you to be able to have access to one single plugin that does many different things. These are features I wish Ubot had in them, and so I made it happen. Another goal of the plugin was to provide you, the user, with many options. I don't see why you can't have the option to choose the buttons on an alert, or the title, or even see what the user clicked on. For this reason, you will see several commands and functions that have many options in them. I think that having access to these options is important. I don't assume that you want an open file dialog window title to always be, quote, open. Instead, you can make it whatever you want. Doing this will further make your bots more customizable and make them look less like Ubot bots. These are the categories in the plugin right now. We have window commands, flow commands, dialog commands, chart commands, browser commands, text functions, qualifier functions, math functions, flow functions, file functions, and dialog functions. I hope you enjoy the demo. I talk about charts for the first 10 minutes or so, and then get on with the rest of the plugin. I want to talk about the chart commands in the Elite Ubot plugin. So we have various commands to create a chart, and let's just start with the chart switcher. This is how you're going to display the chart. So you can run this. We're going to display the chart, wait 3 seconds, switch back to the browser. So we can see I have a chart already set up. And then we can switch back to the browser like so. So I have this line chart here. So I'll just run this and it's going to create this line chart. And I haven't messed with any of the settings really yet. We're just creating a basic line chart with 2 different people. Now, currently we have 2 types of charts. We have the line chart and we have a column chart. So to plot a line chart, you're going to use this plot line series. Line charts work a little bit different than column charts. So for a line chart, you can see we have Bob here, and Bob's sales are 10 units, 15, 23, and 46. And then we have these labels for the months down here. All right, so if we look at the first one, we can see that the first month Bob did 10, Alice did 13. We can look at the second month, we have Bob did 15 units, Alice did 17 units. Month 3, Bob did 23 units, Alice did 28 units. Month 4, Bob did 46 units and Alice did 56 units. Now this is different than how the column charts work. The column charts are a little bit different. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way and run this now. Now in this case, we have populations. We have USA, Canada, and Mexico. So for the column chart, we have, this is a year, 1999, and this is the year 2009. And we can see that in 1999, USA, which is the first label, has a population of 300 million. And in 2009, and I don't know if that's accurate, by the way, I just made these numbers up. In 2009, the population is 330 million. So we can see that the first number corresponds with the first label. Now, Canada's population 30 million in 1999, or again, I'm making this up number-wise. And in 2009, 35 million. All right, so we can see that those numbers correspond with that label. And in the third, we have Mexico, which is 50 million and 62 million. Okay, so that's how that works. So those are your basic charts. Now, with charts, we have a lot of customization options. So in order to show you that, we are going to pull up a browser and bring up Adobe Color because I'm not good with colors. So I just use this website or others like it to let somebody else pick the colors, and then I just use them. So let's go ahead and start customizing this chart so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to set this darker color to be the background. So I can set the chart background color like so. Now, for the first year, I want it to be one of these middle colors. I want it to be the lighter one. Let's do that one. So for 1999, we can change the fill color. You can also set the stroke color and the stroke thickness, which will create an outline, but I'm not going to do that right now. For 2009, we're going to set a different color, and let's see what that looks like. So already we can see that the chart has radically changed, and we've only set a few different properties. However, we have this nifty little thing called a chart axis formatter, and this allows you to set a lot of properties, as you can see. I'm actually going to put that at the bottom here. So on the x-axis, which is your horizontal axis, I'm going to set the labels to be white. So that's FFF, FFF. And if you don't know this, you can just look up color hex table or something, or open up Photoshop or GIMP or some photo editing software and choose a color. It's really easy. Now for the label format, I'm just going to leave that as default. Label culture, for now, I'm going to leave that as English US, but if you want to change the label cultures and you want to change the formats, like for currency, if you were to choose currency and then choose, say, somewhere in Europe, it would be euros, or if you were in England, it would be pounds, and so on and so forth. So it will change. And also the number formats and the percentage, I don't know if percentage changes, but the number formats definitely change. Some countries use commas, some countries use periods. So you can change the format culture here to mess with that, but because we're on the x-axis, we don't want to do that. For the y-axis, we could. Label font family, I'm going to do Roboto. But you can use a font picker dialog, which is something that we have here. Just set the property before in a variable and then put the variable here if you want to do that. Don't put the property right in there. So we can change the label font size, which is a double. And if you don't know what a double is, don't worry. Just pretty much any number you can think of is going to work in here. So let's set that to be 20 because it's really small right now. You can set the font weight. We can set the label rotation. So I can set this to a 45-degree angle, and it will rotate the labels a little bit to make them look different. The separator is these lines here. So on the x-axis, it will be these, I think, the vertical lines, if I'm not mistaken. So we can set that to be one of our colors. So let's go ahead and choose the lightest color here. And we can make that thicker or thinner if we wanted to. In the separator step, we don't have to worry about on the x-axis, but basically that sets how far apart these numbers are. And since we're on the x-axis, we're not going to worry about that. So let's run this now. And as you can see, the labels are now turned, and they're a different font size and a font family and all that stuff. So we can see that we've set several different properties. Now I want to do the same on the y-axis. So I'm just going to duplicate this, choose the y-axis, and then we can set these labels to be a negative 45-degree angle so that they turn the other way. And then let's just run that and see what it looks like. And there you go. So they look a lot different all of a sudden. And now one of the things I want to show you real quick is the separator step, because I think that's pretty cool. If we wanted it to be, say, 50, then these numbers will change here. See? So now they're 50 apart. Or if you wanted to have a lot of numbers for some reason, you could set it to be something like maybe 10 and run this, and now there's a lot of numbers. So you can do all that good stuff. You can change things like the width, for example. Say you wanted them to be wider. Could do that. And now they're a lot wider. You could also set, so for the first year on each of these, I'll set a stroke. We'll make it white. And we'll set it to be like 4. And now you can see that they have a stroke around them. You could also pad between the columns. So I could set a padding here, for example, and now you can see that there's a little bit of space in between each of them. And maybe I should increase that a little bit so that we can see it a little better. There you go. So as you can see, you can change nearly every single thing about the chart. So these are the window commands. So for the window commands, we have change window state, which will allow you to minimize, maximize, or set it to be normal. Change window style, which will change the appearance of the window. So it will change this area and just the border in general. We have exit application, which of course is just going to close your program. We have set window dimensions, so you can set the width, and that should be height. And we have change window title. So we're going to do that first, so you can see the window title appear change. Then we're going to change the style, so the appearance of the border is going to change. Then we're going to set the dimensions. We're going to minimize it, maximize it, then set it to be normal, and then exit the application. So I'm going to run this, and we can see the title change here. Now the border of the window is going to change, so you can most noticeably see it there, and there. Then we'll set the dimensions. That's the width and the height. Then we're going to minimize it, maximize it. Oops, let me get that out of the way. And then exit the application like that. Okay, so now on to the dialog functions. So what I want to show you first is the prompt dialog. So let's go ahead and set a prompt. And after, I want to alert the result of this prompt. So the prompt dialog has a wizard feature, and that's why I want to show you it. When you drag it out, this window opens, and this is a live editor. So you can set a window title like, what is your name? And then for the label, you can say something like name, and you can see update in real time here. And this is what it's going to look like. I have my windows with the title bar up here. It's darker, and that's why you see its appearance in here be darker. But for you, it might be different. So we can set the background here. Let's say I wanted red, or maybe this blue, and then perhaps I wanted to modify it to be a little bit darker like that. Then we can set the label color here as well. Maybe I want this really bright green for some reason, and hit OK. It's going to set these properties so that when you compile your bot, that's how it will look. So if I run this, we can see that that's how it looks. And then I can type my name and hit enter, and it will automatically select the OK button when you hit enter like that. Next, we have a calculator dialog, and this allows you to set the starting value here, and it allows you to set the window title here, so we can use it like a calculator. I can multiply this by 10, and our result will be 250. And all I have to do is close this window now and open the debugger, and we can see that that value has been set there. Next, we have the color picker dialog, so you can choose a color to start with, and then you can click this button and you can modify it. You can also use this or set the values or do whatever. When you're finished, hit OK and open the debugger, and that is our color. Next, we have the date picker, which allows you, of course, to choose a month and a date, and then you can choose a time, and you can modify this time as well. And then the window is not showing. And when you have your date selected, you simply close that, and there it is. Next, we have the folder browser dialog. This allows you to set a description here. It allows you to set a root folder and a path. So I set a path already to select this particular folder. And of course, you can then go into here and select whatever folder you want, like so. And we have an open file dialog. This allows you to set the window title, the initial directory, and the file type. So I can go into here and choose a text file, like so. Now we also have a multiple files dialog, which also allows you to set the window title, the file type, and in this you can select multiple files like so. Because there's only text files, of course, it will select the text files, and we can see those right there. And finally, we have a save file, which allows you to set the title, the initial directory, as well as the file type as well. And I could say overwrite this file if I wanted to. So let me open these up so you can actually see them. So as we can see, once again, the calculator has the start number and a window title. The date picker has a window title. The folder browser has the selected path. The root folder, which is already filled in for you. So all you have to do is find something you want, like say this particular folder, hit OK, and now it will select that as the root folder like so. We have the open file dialog, which allows you to set the filter. So in this case, it has text files, but I could very easily, and this is the default, by the way, this is filled in for you. So you can easily come in here and just change this to say something like CSV, like so. And now when you run it, you can see that that is the filter. And when I open up this folder again, we do not see any text files. And you can of course do that the same with the multiple files and the save file. And they also allow you to set the initial directory as well as the window title. So now that the dialogues are out of the way, let's go to the very start of this and talk about the alerts. Now the alert boxes allow you to set a message, a title, and an icon. For the icon, in the C# language, there's several different options. However, for me, there's only really 4 options, but I listed them all in here, even though some of them may be kind of like duplicates. I'm not sure if that's for every version of Windows or what's going on exactly, but for me, these are the 4 different ones, and the other ones will just default to one of these. Again, that's just for me. I don't know if that's a Windows 10 thing. I don't know why there's more options, but I put them all in there in case you have access to more. So let's go ahead and see what they look like. So of course you can set the title of the alert box, you can set the message, and then you can set the icon. And these are the 4 icons. So we have the information, the error, the exclamation, as well as the question. And if you choose something else, for example, if I choose asterisk, you'll see that asterisk is really just this information, at least for me. Again, I'm not sure why that is exactly, but I put them all in there in case your version of Windows or whatever is different. So we have now, and these are under the flow commands, we have now switch. So if you're not sure what switch is, it's just sort of a different way to write if-then statements. It's just a little bit cleaner and easier to do. So you switch on a value. So in this case, we set the value to be 5. And then we basically say if the value is 3, then alert 3. If it's 4, alert 4. And if it's 5, of course, alert 5, which it is. Let's go ahead and run that, and we get 5. So it's just a little cleaner and easier way to write a bunch of if-then statements, basically. Next, we have region. And what region is it allows you to group like commands together. So you can put, say, all of your commands related to a similar thing into here, and then you can easily close it like so. And you can write what the name of the region is, and you can write a comment about it as well, so that when you go back through your code later, you can easily know what is in that particular area of the code. So it's just a way to easily organize your code. And in the region, we have the wait command. Now, the wait command allows you to wait for milliseconds, seconds, and minutes. And what's cool is you can actually use halves. So you could wait for 3.5 minutes, for example, if you wanted to. Now we're not going to do that now, of course, but we can wait for 3.5 seconds as well. So let's go ahead and run this. It's going to wait for 2 seconds because that's what 2000 milliseconds is. Then it's going to wait for 3.5, and then it's going to alert that it's finished. So you can sort of see what region does here as well. It's just going to run the commands inside, and it's just for organizational purposes. Next, we have the font picker dialog. So we can just run this. We can, pick a font, and we can pick a size, and we can pick underline or strike through or whatnot, and it's going to alert. Now, as a note here, the font sizes are not exact. They'll show you something like 20, but then you are actually going to get the exact font size. So 20 really means 20.25, or it could mean something like 19.75. So you're going to get the exact font size here. Just so you're aware, this is not a bug. This is just how it is. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to show you, this is the name in the family name, font family name. And this is going to be the underline and strike through. These should be, so let's strike out and underline. Name and font family, honestly, I'm not actually sure what the difference is here, but both options are available. And I wanted to give you the most amount of options possible, so I left them both in here. They may be different in some cases, but typically the name and the font family are going to be the same. Data. So one of the things that annoys me about Ubot is using add list to list and then doing a list from text. So I created one command that does several at once, because when you want to do this, you need to first clear a list. So that's one command. And we'll say old way numbers. Then you need to do add list to list. Like so. You need to put the starting list, then you need to do a list from text. Then you write the text, and you need to then go back and find the new line delimiter, or it could be a comma, I suppose, or something. But the point is you're using 3 or 4 commands and functions together. This just does it all at once. So what you do is you type eb add, and it comes up and it has the new line right in there. You can set the list name. It'll remove duplicate entries, remove empty entries, and it will clear the list by default. And when you hit OK, you can see that that new line function is in there. You can also very easily go 1, 2, 3, hit the tab button, put a comma, hit enter, and done. So it's just a much faster and better way of using add list to list and a list from text. So of course, if I were to run this, it would add 1, 2, 3 to numbers. And I can run this over and over, and because it's clearing the list, of course, it will never keep adding. And of course, we can not clear the list and not remove duplicate entries. And in that case, oh, there we go. In that case, it will add them like so. So let me just get rid of this. Now we have increment and decrement by. So let me find the data functions here. So you can increment and decrement by any number you want. So we're going to set this number to be 0. We're going to increment it by 3.5. Then we're going to increment by 3.5 again. And then maybe we'll wait here, of course. Then we can decrement it by 1. So we can find the number in here at 7, then 6, and 5. So it's just a way to easily increment and decrement by any number, whereas Ubot's, of course, is only going to be by 1. We have the browser commands. So let me pull those up over here. So we can scroll the browser to the bottom. We can scroll the browser to the top. We can scroll it to a specific pixel. So if I want to scroll horizontally by 25, it will go to the right 25, and vertically, or it'll go to the 25th pixel on the right, and vertically it will go to the 100th pixel. And we can scroll by pixel. So this is going to scroll at negative 25. From wherever it's at, it's going to go to the left 25, and then wherever it's at, it's going to go down 100. So scroll to pixel is when you want to go to a specific point. If you want to scroll to the 500th pixel vertically, then you put 500. Scroll by pixel is going to shift it from wherever it's at by that amount. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. First, we're going to go to the bottom, then it's going to go to the top, then it's going to scroll to the 25th and 100th like so. Then it's going to go back over 25, down 100, and then it's just simply going to go down 100 again. So some various different scrolling options for the browser, which is cool because the other way to do this is to use a run JavaScript, and you would literally have to know the JavaScript or search for it. It's like window.scroll, something like this. And then you gotta like get the window height and all that stuff. This is just a much easier and faster way to do it. So let's go to the text functions. Here we go. Okay, so we have encode, decode, and trim. And just expand these. So for encoding, you can encode a URL or HTML. And of course, you can decode both of those as well. For trim, you can trim both the front and the end, just the start or just the end. And so we can see what that looks like. So let's go ahead and here's our URL to encode, and you can see our HTML here. So we'll see what that looks like. So there's our URL encoded. You can see these % signs and stuff. And that's what that's doing. It's taking the slashes and other things and it's encoding them like that. Then when you encode it and then decode it back, it's a normal URL again, of course. Then we're going to encode this HTML with the HTML encoder, and you can see all these ampersands like and LT in the semicolon, and that's what it's encoding instead of this less than bracket. That's what it's doing. And then when we decode it back, it brings the brackets back in there. Then we have trim, so this is trimming both. You can see all the white space, and you can see how this looks like just a normal alert box. Then you can see now we're only trimming the start, and so there's no white space on the start, but you can see all the white space on the end. And we also can trim just the end, whereas Ubot's function, of course, will automatically do both. So this is just giving you more control over what you want to trim. So let's talk about the qualifier functions. We have list contains item. We have is null or white space. Is it a number and is it a whole number? So we're going to add these 3 items to the list fruits. And then we're going to see if the fruits list contains the word mango as an item. And it of course does. So we should get a yes here. Then we'll have a is null or white space. This is just a really great way to check and see if something is empty, essentially. So it's similar to the is blank function that Ubot has. And we have is number, which of course this obviously starts as a number, but it's not really a number. Then we have it is whole number, and this, yes, it is a big whole number. So let's go ahead and run that. So yes, mango is in the list. And this is, of course, white space. And this is not a number because of all the letters there, of course. And this is a whole number. Now, I want to point out that is number is different than Ubot's is number function. And so I want to show you what this looks like here. So if I type is number and we look at Ubot's is number and we say 55 point, okay? And then we alert the is number function from the Elite Ubot plugin and we do 55 point. There is a difference here, and this is why I created this function, because this now gives you the option. If you want this to say it's a number, you can use Ubot's. Ubot will return true even though it ends in a period. However, my plugin will return false. So that's really the difference there, just so that you're aware. So it depends on which option you want for your program. But now you have the option, and that's what's really important, is that you can choose which one you want to use. So now we have math functions and we have round to decimal for the math functions. So we have this 65.5646545, and we're going to round to the 0 decimal place, then to the second, and then to the fourth, so you can see how this works. So when you round to the 0, of course, 65.5, it's going to round up to 66. Then we have 65.564, so it's going to round to 65.56 for the second decimal place. Then we have 65.5647 because this ends in 0.56465, so it's going to round that one up to the fourth decimal place. So that's how that works. Now let's go to the flow functions. Now this is a function that will bring up an alert box similar to the alert box that we saw over here. However, this will allow you to see what the user chooses. So you can choose your different buttons here. So there's OK, OK, cancel, yes, no, cancel. And whatever the user chooses will become the result of that variable. So if I hit run and I hit yes, we can see that alert with result is now set to yes. If I hit no, we can see that it's now set to no. If I hit cancel, we can see that it's set to cancel. So you can actually ask the user a question and see what their response is and then do something with that, which is super cool. And again, we have other options, like we can say OK, cancel, of course. So we can see that the user chose OK, and then we can see that the user chose cancel as another option. And of course, you can also change the icon here as well. Now we have the file functions, and there are a lot of different properties that you can look at for the file and the folder. And I'm not going to show all of them necessarily, but I'll go through the list briefly. And then we can see the Git folders as well. So we have Git file info, we have Git folder info, which just gives you different properties, like, as you can see, like the size and the name and things like that. So for the files, we have creation time UTC, directory, the file extension, the last access time UTC, last write time UTC, name and size. For the folder, we have creation time UTC, last access time UTC, last write time UTC, parent name, parent path, and root folder. So those are the different properties for the files and folders, and then you can get folders within a folder and include the path or not. So let's see what this looks like. So we can see that this particular application, this is how large it is in bytes. Then we can see the name, of course, uplay.exe, the creation time, and the directory that it's in. And now for Git folder info, we can see the root of the path of the directory. We can see the creation time, and we can see the parent name of the parent directory there. And this is getting the folders in this particular folder and including the path, and this is without including the path, so these are just the folder names. Thanks for watching. You can pick up the plugin right now from elitebotters.com. Thank you and enjoy.